This story is of survival and isolation. It is of a man who lived on an island alone for 28 years. But just how did he end up here? But before we go into that, let me give you a little background about the book. Robinson Crusoe was the most famous and widely printed novel of author Daniel Defoe. It was first published on 25th of April 1719 during the Enlightenment period. Though the genre of the novel is adventure fiction, many readers believed that the work's protagonist was a real person and the book held true incidents. This was because the first edition credited the protagonist, Robinson Crusoe, as its author. Another interesting fact, the story has been thought to be based on the life of this man, Alexander Selkirk, a Scottish castaway who was stranded on a Pacific island for 4 years. Now this is Daniel Defoe, the English trader and journalist who wrote the very famous Robinson Crusoe, which brings us back to the story. To begin with, in the introduction we meet the protagonist, Robinson Crusoe himself. He is a man with a thirst for adventure. He's young, impulsive, and like a rebellious teenager, he leaves home to explore the seas despite his parents' advice. There, he encounters a number of sea adventures like violent storms. At one point, Crusoe gets captured by pirates. But with the help of other slaves, he manages to escape, eventually landing in Brazil. There he becomes the owner of a sugar plantation and is quite successful. Until a shipwreck strands him on an island, killing the rest of the crew. Crusoe suddenly finds himself stripped from the comforts of civilization and marooned on an uninhabited island. Crusoe lives alone on this island for 28 years. During this time, he raises livestock, he grows crops, and all the while documents all of his experiences, embracing Christianity. Years pass and Crusoe rescues a captive from cannibals, naming him Friday. He teaches him English. During the climax, Crusoe and Friday help an English captain who has been the victim of mutiny. After fighting off the mutineers, the grateful captain gives Crusoe many gifts, but above all, takes him and Friday back to England. After all these years, Crusoe returns to England and learns that in his absence, he has made a fortune from his plantation in Brazil. However, his Christian values have grown and changed him during his time on the island, which makes him give away a great deal of his fortune. But the thirst for adventure still remains. Crusoe and his companions embark on a new adventure and face many hardships in crossing the mountains, like fighting wolves and bears. Near the end, we learn that Crusoe has married and has 3 children. Finally, Crusoe even manages to go on yet another voyage to visit his old island. And thus, Robinson Crusoe ends with the promise of new adventures.